Hola guys, I'm Diego, and as you can see, and you can probably figure where we are, we're actually going to be playing Agrarian Skies. It's a modded map pack made by Jaded Cat and Morvelaria. I can never quite say that right. Morv and Jaded Cat, basically. I'm sure most of you are familiar with what this map is, who it's made by, and what the general goal is by now. I'm sure most of you have probably watched the Direwolf 20 video on it. If not, think of it as a modded skyblock with a very cool kind of questing system. They actually had a mod made, not specifically for this map, but I would argue probably fairly close to it, with the purpose of, well, making this possible. So anyways, we open up the quest book here,
It has
and
been a horrible 10 years. Code wizards meddled in
now
the
apparently
games
this voice is
and released hordes of monsters
Sasha
from other
Varel, if you're
dimensions
familiar
on
with
a
who that is.
unsuspecting
Just
world.
take
Not
that as you
satisfied
will.
with just destroying
I'm not
humans,
going to listen to the
the
whole thing.
monsters rampaged
Actually, I
across
am
the
going to
world,
listen to it. I'll be
eating
back as soon
everything
as he's
in
done
sight.
talking. You guys can
Leaving
listen to it
nothing
when you
more
guys watch it. I'm
than
not going to make you
empty void.
wait for
The
this whole
great
thing to be
age
read here.
trio Dusk.
Guys, welcome back. So as I was saying before, I'm not going to go through this again here. Sasha Varel actually goes through this and reads it. It's actually a fairly interesting idea. It gives you a little bit more into what's going on rather than just, hey, you're playing a map and here's your goal, which I think is kind of cool. So the way this works, it actually gives you a few different goals. Now, as you can see, there are a few here that are actually blocked off. Now, those do become unlocked, at least that's my understanding, as you progress through these different ones. Now, of course, we could pick any of these three: learning the skyblock, go with the flow, or for the hoarding. But first of all, we're going to start with learning the skyblock. Now, before I do that, though, I do want to apologize in advance. I am recording this on April 1st, so for those of you who are aware of what happened on April 1st, because I can guarantee you this won't be out quite that soon, basically, they redid all of the sounds. So, if you hear any weird villager derping noises, I apologize. Anyways, let's check to see what we need to do for the first one. Learning the skyblock. Alright, we're lost. We're the sole survivors. And we need to rebuild the world and create a community. So we have 24 quests here. Now, again, the way this works, as you can see, it does give us a percentage completion rate. And now what we can actually do with that, we can actually see how many quests there are in total to complete part 1, and how many we have unlocked, how many we've done, how many are available, etc. So let's go ahead and open this up. Now, there are two different paths that we have here. We have all of the quests on the left, and these are actually, I believe, the main quests that we want to follow, and this is kind of our end goal here. But we can also do these ones. Now, this is kind of, the stuff on the right here actually is to teach us how to actually work our way through the game, just to kind of get us started. So let's start with using the book. Alright, so it's a new invention by some people, Vizway, Scott, and Lord Dusk. Now, on the off chance you don't know what you're doing, yada yada yada. Alright, so basically it wants us to get ourselves an oak wood plank. So this should not be difficult. Let's go ahead and check in our chest. Grab a stack of that, an oak sapling, a rain muffler. Interesting. I'm also going to just quickly turn the sound down. And let's get started and grow ourselves an oak sapling. Now, all of this is actually stained clay, so it is supposed to look like grass, but it's not, which of course, one of the main problems with skyblock is typically you have very limited resources, very limited access to things. Now, one other thing I should probably mention before I get murdered is the fact that this is actually a hardcore map. Nothing about this is meant to be easy, and if you die, your world can and will be destroyed. Now, that isn't to say that you will immediately die right away if you die once, but you do have a limited amount of lives. Okay, do I actually get a sword or anything here? No? Great. Alright. At any rate, the idea is you have a certain number of lives. I believe you start with 2, and you can actually gain lives just through playing. No, I do have to be careful. I do know that there was another one out here, and I really don't want to die. Alright, so let's get in here, and hopefully, there we go. So let's go ahead and get this started here. Now, as always, we need to get ourselves some wood. And hopefully a couple of saplings. It does look like we've got one already, so we're on a little bit of a roll here. Now I'm going to go ahead and break a couple of these and try and get a small amount of resources built up here, so I'll be back once I've done that. Alright guys, I just wanted to talk to you guys really quickly here just about different ways to actually collect these oak leaves. Now, one thing that you may not be familiar with, there is a new tool called a crook. It's added by X and Hilo. The recipe for it just looks like kind of an upside down L, and this actually, I believe it does increase your output on saplings. I could be mistaken, but I do know that it does increase your reach. So if for some reason you end up with a really large tree for some reason that you just can't quite reach them, all the leaves on, I believe this should increase both sapling drops and your reach, so hopefully that'll help you guys out. Anyways, I'll be back. I'm just going to collect a bit more wood and then continue from there. Alright guys, welcome back. So I just wanted to let you guys, or rather I just wanted to continue on here and show you guys what's going on. It's now daytime. I figured I might as well go ahead and get started, show you guys a little bit more about what we're going to do here. Now, as you remember, the last quest that we needed to do was just get ourselves some oak wood planks. So we're going to do that. As you can see, we've completed this, and we're going to click Claim Reward. It plays us a little jingle there, and then we get ourselves an apple. Now, let's take a look and see what the next quest is, if we can. Alright, I'll be back in a moment here while I figure out... Oh, never mind, there we go. Alright. Apparently a right click is to go back in the book. For some reason I couldn't quite get that to work. Okay, manual completion. So this is how another way that you have to go about doing certain challenges. You actually have to manually submit by clicking the manually submit button. Now you can click select task to tell it which one you're going to do. By clicking on manually submit, we submit the oak planks and we get ourselves a quest delivery system and a hopper. Now you guys are familiar with hoppers, hopefully. They're a recent vanilla addition to Minecraft. They just send items to different places. And the quest delivery system, now that is actually something that's fairly new. That is added in, I don't know if it's specifically for this, I believe it's added in with the hardcore questing mode. That's where this book comes from. Now we're going to go ahead and put this down inside just so that it's out of the way. As you can see, it's a fairly plain block, nothing too fancy to it. But the general idea is that we have to bind quests to it from the quest book, and typically we also have to drop items into it using the hopper. You can also do that using AE systems and similar different methods, but basically you have to input items into it in order to complete certain quests. So let's take a look at the book, and let's take a look at the QDS. So the final way is using this system. So basically we just have to drop one piece of wood into the hopper, and now we'll drop it into the QDS, and then once we've finished that, we're good to go. However, it does look like we may need to... Yep, okay, so here we go. So AE buses can also, but before we send the items to the system, we do need to key the QDS into our quest. So we click select task, and then we just right click on it. So that means that it's connected to our quest. As you can see, it does list all the information up at the top. It gives us the information we need. So let's go ahead and grab ourselves one of these. We'll drop it in there. And now when we next check the book, and actually you can see that it did disappear off the screen. When we next open this up, we can see it's complete. Now we do have to do the no help given here, where we can... Alright, so it looks like for this one we have to pick ourselves up the hopper. Now I don't believe this can't be broken by hand, at least not in this version. So what we have to do is get ourselves some tools. Now if I remember correctly, and I could be mistaken, I do believe... Yes, they are. So wooden tools and apparently stone tools as well are all disabled. Now that may make it seem a little bit more difficult to do things, and it does, but I'm going to stop recording here. I'm going to set a few things up on my end, or at least get started for a few different things. But as you can see, we have flint, and flint is going to help us out very much so in the next few minutes here. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and get prepared, and I'll be back once I'm ready to show you guys how to continue from this point. Alright guys, so like I mentioned before, what we're going to have to do next, we're actually going to have to complete a different quest, or at least get started into it. So let's go back, and as you can see here, we do have another quest over here, in the beginning, ... So we've noticed that we've got very little to start with. We have no food, no land, and we've got a floor, so I guess they want us to be thankful for that. I suppose it's better than some sky blocks. Now, basically what it wants us to do is get ourselves some apples, and we will need some string as well. Now, string is actually something we can get from trees. Now, as you see in the book here, it does actually want us to create ourselves a crook. Now, you might be wondering how you get string. Now, I haven't run across this yet, just because I haven't been having very good luck with drops, but the crook does give us the ability to get silkworms, which you can then infest trees with. They'll then grow into infest the other leaves on the tree, and they will drop string when you break them. And as well, you can use a crook on those infested leaves to get some of your silkworms back. So I'm going to go ahead and farm some more wood. I think I may need a bit more, and as well, hopefully get myself some string. But before, so I'm going to go ahead and get myself some more wood, and hopefully some string, and I will be back once I've gotten those materials, and then we'll go ahead and craft these. Now, before I do that though, as you can see, the majority of this, at least from here to the left, minus the chest, the stencil table, tool station, part builder, and crafting station, those are all Tinker's Construct. Now, Tinker's Construct does give you a materials and U-book, so you do have access to the recipes as well as through NEI, so you're not entirely left on your own, but I will be back once I have the materials, and then we'll go ahead and continue from there. Alright guys, welcome back. So I've gone ahead and made myself quite a few more crooks, and I've chopped down quite a few trees. Now, I haven't had any luck getting any silkworms. I'm running, I believe it's 1.0.8, the newest pack. I think it was actually released today or updated. I'm starting to run out of food, so I'm going to quickly move on to actually crafting some of the things that we need here. So we need the crafting station, which is, if I can locate it in here, there we go, crafting station. Just a crafting table, easy enough. We also need ourselves a chest, which we can do. And like I said, I'm just going through all the different things here, just because we want to make sure that we do get everything. So we need part builder, tool station, stencil. Oops. Alright, so we need the tool station, which is not at all difficult. But I am going to get myself a bunch of those first. Tool station, blank pattern, stick. Okay. Tool station, part builder, just a log in one of those. Like stencils. So this isn't too difficult. This is all Tinker's Construct stuff, like I was saying before. A stencil table. So we need another one of these. Oh my goodness. And I think that's almost everything that we needed. Tool station. Okay. Not entirely sure what happened there. The tool station recipe. Probably wants... Yeah, there we go. So we've got two of them now. And crafting table, there we go. Not gonna lie, don't entirely understand why it didn't Didn't register that right away. A quarter of a heart, 10 apples, reward bag. And now, as well, while I'm looking at this before I make the oak barrel, as you can see, we have the ability to pick a couple different things. We have the Axe of Despair, we have the Pain of Destiny. Now, I'm going to personally go with the Axe of Despair just because we're going to need to chop down quite a few trees. So I think that'll be a little bit more useful here. I don't know why it didn't recognize the tool station when it did. So I'll search for the barrel recipe here. So the oak barrel is added by X and Halo. And it's, oh, that's easy. Alright, so let's get ourselves a bit more wood. And actually, just because I can, let's make ourselves a few of these. Alright, so we've gone ahead and done this. Let's claim our reward. So we've got ourselves a reward bag. Now, my understanding with this is you just put it in your hand and right-click with it, and I believe it gives you stuff. So we've got ourselves a red herring, a morsel. So that's not bad. We've also got ourselves a quarter of a heart if we right-click with that. Apparently we can't right-click with it. We believe we need a full heart before we can do anything with it. So we do have an Axe of Despair. It gives us some damage, and it's got a skill level there. Now, the main reason I wanted to complete that quest is for the apples, because I am starving. Alright. Now, one thing that we also want to do here with the oak barrels, and I'm just going to set these up. Also set them up over here. We want to set these up because these actually collect rainwater, and once they've collected rainwater, I believe you can fill them up. Actually, no, I believe we would need to fill these up first. And I think I could be mistaken, but if I'm not, then this is what we want to do. I believe that we actually want to cover these up. I am just going to double check that, but they do appear to be changing here. Now, this is actually going to give us more dirt. Now, you can fill this up with either apples, or you can fill it with you can basically fill it with anything that can be composted, such as any organic material. I believe sugarcane, all different types of saplings, etc. all work. The main reason I'm getting on that now is so that we can actually grow some more trees, and we don't have to micromanage it entirely. But anyways, I will be back. I'm going to check on a couple of things because I know barrels have a few different uses. So I'm going to check on that for a little bit here, and I'm also going to hopefully get myself a silkworm, and I'm also going to do a little bit of research into our next quest that we're going to be doing here. Alright, I'll be back. Just wanted to show you guys this out. Only takes a couple of seconds actually, but once you see it turn into the approximately the normal dirt amount, just right click the barrel and it will give you the dirt. Alright guys, welcome back. Now, like I said before, I was just going through that to try and get ourselves a silkworm, which I do finally have. It's our fine little friend here. Now, you can actually eat these if you do find yourself in a situation where you're getting fairly hungry. You can actually go ahead and eat this. I believe you may or may not need to cook it up. I'm not about to try eating him because it took a really long time to get him. But as you can see, if you right-click on a tree, any type of leaf with a silkworm, it actually puts it into the tree and changes it from an oak leaf into an infested leaf. Now, it does slowly change color, very similar to the way, let's fill this up here. It starts off as a solid green, for example, with the saplings in here, and it will slowly turn brown. It's a very slow process. I'll try and get both on the screen here so you can see. Now, it is a fairly slow process, but it does change. Now, once they've completely made their change, for example, with the dirt, you can actually just right-click it and take it out. With the leaf over here, it will eventually spread. Now, I don't know how complete the change has to be before it does move. I do know that it will eventually transfer over to the nearby blocks. So we're going to wait for this to infest our full tree here so we can get ourselves a bunch of string and hopefully a bunch more silkworms. If we can get ourselves enough of them, then we'll be able to move on to the different mods and continue. Oh, yeah, and it's already started to spread. There's one on the inside there that's changed. And like I said, it is a fairly slow process, so I'll come back once we've made a bit more progress towards changing and getting ourselves enough silk and string to continue onwards. Alright guys, now as you can see we do have our tree here. It's mostly white. I have been kind of hacking away at it, and I did start going another tree there just because of the fact that this is a really slow process. I did manage to get a couple extra silkworms. Now you can still use the crook. This gives you, like I mentioned before, it gives you the chance to get some of your silkworms back, which is extremely useful for cultivating more trees. Now the main reason that we're doing this is because we do need string. It's very important for us to get the string there. I'm going to chop this down real quick and hopefully get some more. Just got to be careful not to walk off the edge here. Alright, so that'll be enough for now. I'll finish going over these trees on my own time later. Now I did go ahead and set up all of our Tinker's Construct stuff here. So we've got our stencil table, which is where we can set up our different stencils. I've made a few extras. So if I just throw these in here, we can actually rotate through the different things here, and we can actually make our setup to make ourselves some tools. We have the part builder, which is what we use to actually make the pieces. And then we have our tool station, which is where we can actually make the different tools. And over here we have the crafting station, which we can actually use to repair things, such as our Axe of Despair. Now the XP, I believe, is basically how fast it works, how well it works. There's quite a few different things you can do, but anyways, I do want to repair this really quickly, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw it in with a piece of wood, grab that, and it's done. So now that that's repaired, we're actually going to go ahead and make ourselves a tool to take out this hopper. Now, like I mentioned before, we do have the flint, and that is the cheapest tool I believe we can get. I could be mistaken. We may be able to get the actual wooden tools. It might just be that they've disabled the vanilla ones. So let's go ahead and make ourselves a pickaxe head. We also need a crossguard, I believe. Let's double check that. What do we need? We need a tool binding and a handle. So let's go ahead and find these recipes. We've got a tool rod, is what we want. Arrowhead, fletching, tough binding, tool binding. There we go. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and throw these in here. Now we can actually, typically this is what you do. You'd throw it in there with the material you want, and as long as you have enough for it, it will allow you to make it. So as you can see, the flint pickaxe head has the same level as copper. It's 2 damage, speed 400, etc. It gives you all the information. So I'll go ahead and we'll take that out. We'll throw that in there. Oh, and apparently we can't make it out of that. We can't do that either. So let's go ahead and let's start with this. Alright, so it does look like we can actually process a few different things here. It looks like the main thing is that we need to get a actual flint pickaxe head. That's the only big thing that we need to worry about for the most part. Everything else can be whatever it needs to. So it looks like it's just sticks as far as I can tell. Yeah, it's just 6. So we'll go ahead and we'll throw this in the tool station. Put that there, the wooden binding, and 1 stick. And that gets us a fairly cheap pickaxe, and that will allow us to break our hopper. And will allow us to go ahead and complete the QDS. So we'll manual submit, and we're going to claim our reward. So that's pretty much sums up everything that we were doing before. I'm just going to go ahead and put away some of the things I don't need. We don't need this. We don't need that. We will need that. Alright. So that pretty much wraps up what we're going to do for this episode, guys. We're a little bit more than 20 minutes now. And now that we've finished off these 3, we're going to move on to the rest of the quests here. I might take a look at some of these others just to get an idea of what we have going on. But this is the smoothest silk. This requires quite a bit of string and, well, a few other things. So I'm going to go ahead and get prepared on my own time here, try and collect enough string to get started, and then I'll start the next episode from there, and I'll try and release these um, within a couple days of each other, hopefully. No guarantees, but, we'll see. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you liked, please, like, favorite, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If not, let me know what you think could be done better, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.